Let's talk about a crime that is so audacious, so perfectly planned, it's already being called one of the biggest heists in modern German history. This is the incredible story of the Gelsenkirchen bank vault heist, a crime that has left investigators absolutely baffled and its victims completely heartbroken.
I didn't sleep last night. Just listen to that. That single sentence from one of the bank's customers, it really captures the raw human side of this. As hundreds of people rushed to the bank, it became obvious that this wasn't just about money. It was about people's trust, their sense of security, and in some cases, their entire life savings.
And the scale of this crime, it's just mind-boggling. Police are saying that if you had a safety deposit box at this bank, there was a 90% chance it was cleaned out. This wasn't some targeted hit on a few boxes. No, this was a systematic, near-total wipeout of the vault. So you've got to be wondering, how does a crime this massive even get discovered? Well, the answer is just as wild as the heist itself. It wasn't some silent alarm or a fancy laser sensor that tipped off the police. Nope, it was a simple fire alarm. So picture this. It's a Monday morning, and that fire alarm starts blaring. Emergency services race to the scene, thinking they're about to fight a fire. But when they get there, there's no smoke, no flames. Instead, what they find is a giant hole drilled clean through a thick, reinforced concrete wall, leading right into a completely ransacked bank vault. And this is what really hits home. It wasn't just stacks of cash that were taken. This quote from another victim says it all. We're talking about heirlooms you can never replace. A mother's gold coin, a grandmother's bracelets, things that were meant to secure a family's future. Just gone. All of this, of course, leads to the big question. How on earth did they pull this off? Seriously, the way this was executed feels like something straight out of a Hollywood movie. It would have taken incredible patience, a ton of planning, and just surgical precision. Yeah, investigators knew right away this was no amateur job. Every single clue pointed to a highly organized, professional crew. These guys operated with almost military-like skill and knew exactly what they were doing every step of the way. Their plan was brutally simple and effective. First, they got in through a parking garage right next door. From there, they used some serious heavy-duty drilling gear to basically tunnel through the fortified basement wall and right into the vault. Once they were inside, they just went to work, box by box. It's a big deal when even the seasoned pros are floored. A local investigator flat out said he'd never seen anything like this outside of a movie. That's how crazy, how unprecedented this whole thing was. Okay, so the physical break-in was impressive, for sure, but it brings up an even bigger question. I mean, brute force can get you through a wall, but how did they know exactly which wall to drill through? And that points to one very chilling possibility. Inside information, right? Think about it. How could they possibly know the precise spot to drill to avoid all the sensors? How do they know the details of the alarm systems? And how did they know that a long holiday weekend would give them the perfect, quiet cover to get the job done? This is what's leading experts to what they're calling the insider information theory. A criminologist, Professor Michael Levy, basically argues that there's just no way this could have been pulled off without some kind of confidential intel. Someone with deep knowledge of the bank's security had to have been involved. And that theory just blows the whole investigation wide open. All of a sudden, the police are looking at anyone and everyone with access. We're talking current employees, maybe some ex-employees with a grudge, the contractors who actually installed the security systems, even people at outside security firms who worked with the bank. So where does a heist like this fit into the history box? I mean, is it really one of the all-time greats? To figure that out, we kind of need to put it up against some of the other legendary robberies. So the first estimates put the haul in the tens of millions of euros. And look, by any measure, that is a major score. That alone puts this crime in the same league as some of the most infamous heists we've ever seen. But here's the wild part. According to Professor Levy, that number is probably low. It's based on insurance limits, which means the real value could be way, way higher. People often keep stuff in these boxes worth far more than the insured amount. We might never know the full, staggering value of what was taken. And the timing? Well, if you know anything about famous heists, this is going to sound very familiar. Just like the notorious Hatton Garden heist in London, this job went down over a long holiday weekend. Criminals know that's when security is more relaxed, and it gives them a nice, long, uninterrupted window to do their work. And yet, for all its spectacular Hollywood-style flair, a crime like this, on this scale, is incredibly rare in Germany. It's the kind of thing that, in theory, could happen, but in practice, a heist this successful almost never does. And that brings us to the final, really fascinating question that kind of flips this whole story on its head. When you think about the huge potential payday, the real puzzle isn't that this heist happened. From a criminologist's point of view, the real mystery is why these spectacular, successful heists don't happen a whole lot more often.